In sports, not everything goes as planned. In today's video, we are going to revisit unusual and unpredictable moments that marked women's sports, from unforeseen mishaps to unique situations that no one could have anticipated, like getting stuck in a portable toilet during a competition or even losing a wig mid-jump. These will be the moments in women's sports that you will watch today. Molly Cottery, a British pole vaulter, made headlines and caught the public's attention during an attempt in a competition when she failed to clear the bar and, instead of completing the jump, dropped the pole and did a sort of pirouette to avoid colliding with the equipment. In the footage broadcast on TV, the athlete prepares for the jump, and when she is already on the approach, close to the bar, she realizes she would not be able to complete the jump. She ends up letting go of the pole and doing a pirouette so as not to crash into the crossbar, then lands on the protective mat. Because she is well known in her event, the incident drew a lot of attention worldwide, as she usually did not miss her jumps. In addition to her talent, Molly is considered one of the most beautiful women in sports, which earned her even more recognition and, of course, a spotlight around the world. During the European Athletics Championship in Rome, in Italy, the Spanish race walker Laura Garcia Caro lost the bronze medal in a dramatic and, let's say, embarrassing way. In the last few meters of the 20-kilometer race walk, Laura began to celebrate before crossing the finish line, slowing down and raising her arms in triumph. This lapse in attention allowed the Ukrainian athlete Lyudmila Ulyanovska to overtake her in the final moments, leaving Laura in fourth place. In other words, she did not even make the podium due to a huge oversight on her part. After the race, Laura expressed disappointment, but acknowledged that the incident served as a lesson in both perseverance and focus. During the promotion of a boxing match between Michaela Lauren and Cecilia Brækhus, one moment drew a great deal of attention and generated plenty of buzz. During the traditional face-off before the fight, Michaela Lauren surprised her opponent by giving her a light kiss on the lips. The gesture was unexpected and left Brækhus visibly uneasy, although she burst out laughing right afterward. Cecilia, considered one of the greatest boxers of all time and a multi-world champion, kept her composure, but her expression clearly showed she had not anticipated such a move. Many people viewed Michaela's gesture as an attempt to unnerve or provoke her opponent, common in the build-up to fights, but it crossed the typical line in this case. Upon receiving the kiss, Cecilia started laughing, clearly indicating she did not expect it. Many described her laughter as a reaction to the uncomfortable and disrespectful situation she had just experienced. The artistic gymnastics final at the Paris Olympics in France in 2024 gave rise to a scene deemed funny and cute, which then went viral on social media. The Chinese gymnast Yaqin Zhou, just 18 years old, shyly imitated the Italian gymnasts, who were biting their Olympic medals. Culturally, Chinese athletes do not usually have that habit, which explains Zhou's slightly awkward reaction to her teammates' behavior. In the footage, you can see she looks a bit puzzled at the Italians next to her on the podium. Then she shows her surprise and brings the medal to her mouth, though without truly biting it the way her colleagues did. Yaqin Zhou finished in second place in the balance beam final. On social media, the video went viral, and viewers found her reaction adorable, given how surprised she looked. During a golf match, a surprising moment involving a bystander went viral on social media because the woman picked up the ball that had been struck by an athlete, directly affecting the play. In footage from the live broadcast, we see the exact moment the athlete takes a solid swing, sending the ball near some trees up ahead. In that same spot, a woman who seemed to be strolling in the park where the match was taking place happened upon the ball landing right beside her. Thinking she was helping, she picked it up and looked around for someone to return it to. However, one of the event's officials approached her, visibly upset because by picking up the ball, she had directly interfered with the game. In golf, the athlete must make as many strokes as needed until the ball is holed. Therefore, the player would have walked to where the ball had landed to take another shot, which meant it should not have been moved.
Missed by quarter.
Yeah, ball was...
Whoa!
No!
Oh, it's not a souvenir.
No.
It's not a souvenir.
The man arrives, angry about the interference. The woman looks startled and shocked to learn she was disrupting the game. She puts the ball back where it was and leaves, clearly embarrassed by the situation. The American swimmer Anita Alvarez was rescued from the bottom of the pool by her coach during the World Aquatics Championship of the International Swimming Federation in Budapest, in Hungary, after losing consciousness. Coach Andrea Fuentes jumped into the pool upon noticing that the 25-year-old artistic swimmer began to sink once her routine ended. Fuentes, a four-time Olympic medalist in synchronized swimming, lifted Alvarez to the surface before helping carry her to the pool's edge. Alvarez received medical attention poolside and was then taken away on a stretcher. It was quite a scare, no doubt a very tense moment, as there were real concerns about whether the swimmer would recover. Fortunately, Anita Alvarez ended up fine and suffered no lasting harm. Judoka Martina Trajdos drew attention during the Olympics for using a rather different method in her pre-match ritual. The German judoka received 2 slaps on the face from her coach, Claudio Pusa, before stepping onto the mat against the Hungarian Sophie Osbas. Ironically, the ritual did not work out very well. The German ended up not achieving victory. Besides the slaps, the coach also shook her quite a bit, grabbing her by the collar, which obviously caught people's attention, went viral, and caused some controversy online. Because of the huge reaction and controversy, Martina felt compelled to explain. On social media, she clarified that she herself had asked her coach to do it so she would feel motivated and get an adrenaline boost before the match. Heloa Camelo is a young Brazilian diving prodigy who has been attracting attention not only in Brazil, but around the world because of her talent in the sport. Heloa is under close watch, and competing in the Olympics someday seems almost inevitable. Still, she remains calm and cautious about the possibility, wanting to be genuinely ready to perform at the highest level. After all, many athletes end up succumbing to the pressure to compete, yielding disappointing results that dampen their careers. This was the case of the young American Allison Gibson, who had a tough moment at the Paris Olympics in France in 2024 during the 3-meter springboard diving event. At the start of her preliminary round, her feet collided with the board during a twisting move. This ruined her dive, caused a clumsy fall into the water, and led to a score of 0 from the judges, who recorded the movement as a no dive. On social media, Allison reflected on the moment, emphasizing that one isolated mistake would not define her career in the sport. However, many pointed out that she might not have been prepared for that level of competition. The Nigerian athlete Blessing Okigbar, who won a silver medal in the long jump at the Beijing Olympics in China in 2008, found herself in an awkward situation during the Diamond League in Oslo, in Norway, in 2017. Her wig came off on her first jump and ended up lying on the landing area. To make matters worse, the athlete had to leave it there until the jump was measured, and it was all shown live to the entire world. Okigbar even lost several centimeters as a result of the wig. By rule, the measurement is taken from the point closest to the start of the runway that touches the sand. In this case, her wig remained behind her body at about 6.21 meters. One of the biggest names of Team Brazil in Paris, Nathalie Moellhausen, caused concern for fans and staff during her debut in fencing at the Paris Olympics in France in 2024. Things got even stranger when a member of her team seemed to think the chair brought to support Nathalie was actually for him. In the footage, the athlete is seen collapsed on the ground, feeling unwell, and at that moment, some of her staff arrived to help her. An event official also approaches with a chair for the athlete, who was feeling faint. But right at that moment, there is a misunderstanding, and a member of her staff, upon seeing the chair, believes for a second that it is for him and sits down. He quickly realizes his mistake, gets up, and helps place the athlete on the seat so she can be more comfortable. Naturally, the video went viral, not only because the athlete was feeling ill, but also because of the staff member's misstep, who seemed to lose track of what was happening for a few seconds. A memorable and unexpected moment happened during a 4x100-meter relay event featuring Chinese athletes in a track and field competition. During a baton handoff, the team encountered difficulties, resulting in an uncoordinated scene that grabbed the attention of fans and the sports media. During the exchange between the second and third runners, a lack of communication and coordination caused the baton to drop, costing them precious seconds while trying to retrieve it. In relay races, the baton must be passed within a marked zone. Any mistake, such as dropping the baton or exceeding time limits, can lead to disqualification or a major time loss. Despite the confusion, the team finished the race, but ended up far behind the leaders and failed to qualify. Experts suggested that the mishap might have been due to lack of specialized training or the psychological pressure at such a high-level competition. The moment went viral as one of the most glaring blunders in sports. A soccer player for the Zambia women's national team named Barbara Branda was unable to compete in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations because she was cut for a rather controversial reason. She reportedly failed a gender test administered by the Confederation of African Football. According to the president of the Football Association of Zambia, the athlete was excluded for having failed this gender test. He explained that every player had to undergo a gender exam, an obligatory requirement by the Confederation, and unfortunately, she did not meet the criteria established. When the BBC contacted the Confederation's Director of Communications, Lux September, for comment, he responded that there was no decision from the medical committee of the Confederation. That statement angered the president of Zambia's Football Association, as it seemed to suggest that the decision to cut the athlete had been made by Zambia's own national team, which was not accurate. Barbara Branda is considered the best player in Zambia and one of the best on the entire African continent. In 2024, after all the controversy subsided, she was able to return to the field and was named BBC Women's Footballer of the Year. Kendall Ellis represents the United States in the women's 400-meter track event. However, anyone who watched her compete at the Paris Olympics in France in 2024 might not be aware that she almost missed her chance to participate due to an incident shortly before the semi-final at the Olympic trials. The athlete got stuck in a portable toilet for 10 minutes and had to call for help so she would not miss the race. In an interview, she revealed the moment was scary, especially since she dreads small spaces. She is famously claustrophobic, and being locked in a cramped area was pure panic for her. The American athlete who helped the women's 4x400-meter team earn gold and the mixed relay team earn bronze in Tokyo did not have her phone with her when it happened. After about 5 minutes with no escape, she put aside her embarrassment and started yelling for assistance inside the toilet. An employee at the training track heard her calls and was able to get her out. The episode received a great deal of attention, and soon after she won her semi-final and final, the athlete secured a sponsorship deal with a toilet paper manufacturer, ensuring her participation in the Paris Olympics. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.